Our sixth word. Reverend Dr. Frank Thomas served as a Nettie Sweeney and Hugh Miller Professor of Homiletics at Christian Theological Seminary in Indianapolis, Indiana. Dr. Thomas served with distinction as the senior pastor for two remarkable congregations, New Faith Baptist Church of Matteson, Illinois, and Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church of Memphis, Tennessee, for 18 years and 13 years, respectively. Frank Thomas is always one who makes me think of Jesus when he spoke to the apostles and said, "Go deeper." Frank Thomas always takes us deeper. Please welcome with me for our sixth word, Dr. Frank Thomas.
Thank you so much. I need help, believe me. All these preachers. Edward Branch has been trying to teach me to hoop. Or rather, he has explained to me why I'm not a hooper, is a better way to say that. And so I am standing behind the Hooper Supreme, and it is a great honor. And I want to thank Dr. Branch working with me. About a year, I'm going to come out like that. Y'all going to see me just like that. I also am wanting to thank Pastor Michael Pfleger for the opportunity to come, and I apologize to all of the preachers for being late. Some preachers on the other side of town invited myself and Dr. Branch, so I called up Dr. Pfleger and said, I was invited to preach in the evening. He says, yeah, it's St. Sabina, right? No. He said, no, you come in here. I don't care where else you go. You is here. What are you talking about? You is here. So I thank him for his flexibility. To Dr. Jeremiah A. Wright, Jr., who I've been reading about you, Doc, for intensively for the last 9 months. And all of us have met Freddie Haynes, the preacher. Soon you will meet Freddie Haynes, the scholar. Thank you. And he and I have been laboring in love, getting this dissertation out. And it has been, because one of our mottos is we are not going to let Fox News and folk that don't even know Jeremiah E. Wright, Jr. define who he is. And my wife is here. She's always here, and I'm deeply grateful. She's one of the people who sit in the pity party, Dr. Branch. I want to grapple deeply with this text. I want to read it, and you know it. When Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, "It is finished." It is finished. I've been searching for a title for this. The best I could come up with is The Cruciform Life. As I was reading this text, I was captured by the mood of the text. This text presents us a solemn note about life and living. This text is not sad. It is not despondent. It is not depressed. It is what Gardner Calvin Taylor calls serious, solemn, sober. The Latin word gravitas, meaning weighty. Taylor says, it is always as if Jesus is moving under the shadow of some high and lofty, noble work. When I see work like this at St. Sabina, I intricately understand that somebody is walking the floor late at night to see this happen. When I experience the beauty of worship, when I experience a church that is not afraid of joining spiritual and political, the work is high and lofty and meaningful, and I know from 31 years of pastoring that there is yet blood somewhere on the ground. Somewhere, somebody is paying a price. While the work is amazing, the price is high. People are being helped, but the cost is deep. The mission is unfolding, but it is expensive. It's called the cruciform life. Again, as I was reading this text, the mood is solemn, but the tone or the pitch or the key, like E flat or B flat, the key is victory. The Greek word for finish is tetelestai. It means completed. It means finished. It means it's over. It means it's done. It was a word used in common parlance when a goal is met. It was a common term in business referring to the fact that the debt is paid in full. In the payment of the debt, there would be a contract setting forth terms. When the debt was paid in full, the contract would be taken out, and across the completed contract would be written tetelestai. In the military, when the final battle has been won, when the victory is won, when there is no more need to fight, when the swords and shields are laid down in the final battle, the shout would be tetelestai. The priest would inspect animals brought for sacrifice. The priest would inspect for blemishes, for animals worthy of sacrifice, and if it were so, it was said tetelestai. The obligation has been satisfied. The master painter paints the final stroke on a masterpiece and says, nothing more can be added to tetelestai. Dr. Freddie Haynes, since your oral exam is on Tuesday from 1 to 4, I remember handing the final copy of my dissertation to the librarian. Tetelestai is done. You see, the somber mood, the gravitas, the blood of what it takes to get a high and lofty accomplished matches the victorious tone in the text to make for the cruciform life. Cruciform is the life of the cross. Cruciform is the life under the cross. Cruciform is life in the cross. If you see this cross behind me, it's cruciform. The vertical are the amazing victories won in God, our connection with God, the assurance of victory in God. The horizontal is the blood on the floor or in the back or beneath the hind, the victory, the work being done. It's the sacrifice, it's the sweat, it's the tears, what I call the losses. The victory and the losses on the way to tetelestai is the cruciform life. You see, we are familiar with Jesus in terms of the victories. He raised Lazarus from the dead. He fed 5,000 with a couple loaves and a few fish. We remember the healing of the sick, the diseased, and the lame. We celebrate the walking on water to calm the storm. Peace, be still. We celebrate he was teaching as one with authority, and somebody said, never a man spake like this. We're familiar with the victory even at Calvary. But in the cruciform life, we're familiar with the vertical. There are losses. If I might translate it in pastoral language, that's some of the language I know the best, that in John 6:53, Pastor Jesus is preaching and teaching the word, and he says, you must eat my flesh and drink my blood, and many of his disciples turn away, and they no longer follow. And the text says, many turned away. And Jesus goes to the 12 and says, will ye go away also? If you're a pastor here, you know what I mean when I suggest that everybody who starts on the vision with you ain't gonna finish with you at the end. And sooner or later, somebody you love is gonna come and say, I'm not growing here any further. I'm going over across town. Losses on the way to Testellitai. In Matthew 12, 46 through 50, on the way to Tetelestai, you're going to have family issues on the way. You're going to have family losses on the way. Jesus was preaching and shaking hands, and they come and say, you know, Mama Nim, your mama and your brothers are out there, and they're waiting to talk to you. Jesus says, well, the folks up in here are my mother and my brothers. Everybody who does the will of God is my mother's and my brother. Jesus had family issues. There are losses. There are horizontal losses in the cruciform life. Betrayal is on the way to Tetelestai. Mark 14:43, the one I kiss is the man, Judas says. He goes up and kisses Judas. And every pastor said this, you over there with them? You who have eaten at my table, you and I have shared travel journeys. And you over there with them? On the way to Tetelestai, you might be all alone. Mark 14:50 says, he was arrested, and everyone fled and deserted him. In the cruciform life, you have amazing victories. But in the cruciform life, there are also horizontal losses. Sometimes Tetelestai is the combination of victory with the losses. Whenever you are moving under the shadow of some high and lofty work, there are losses. When I was writing this, I know that the traditional interpretation of the text is I'm supposed to say all of the it in it is finished. Hell is finished. Sin is finished. Prophecy is finished. The scriptures, and if I knew what I was really doing, I'd say one last enemy, the big one, death, is finished. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't say that. Because the losses. I am, on a personal note, I am in the throes of retirement. I have learned, and I think Dr. Weems would appreciate this, that maybe retirement is not the best word, but I'm going post-institutional. I got that, independent scholar. And because celebrations are being planned for my retirement, I began to think about what I am going to say. And as I begin to scan almost 45 years of ministry, there have been some amazing victories. And there have been some deep and profound losses. And I decided that what I was going to say was Tetelestai. It's completed. It's finished. There's no more to be added. I've done all that God had given me to do. And then Trump won the election. It ain't finished. From my estimation, we are in a battle. In my estimation, we are in a battle for democracy. We're in a battle for the dignity and the self-respect of marginalized people. This is a high and a noble and a lofty battle. I think that we're about to go through a season of persecution. I mean, as a church, I know that we kind of recollect that, back in the days when the church was first born, Christians were eaten by lions. We got that general background. And I know that we know across the globe, people are being persecuted, but we never had any idea that we might be persecuted in the United States for preaching a gospel of liberation. It ain't finished. It's not yet completed. There's one yet more battle to be fought. The cruciform life. And there will be losses. Blood will be on the ground. Homes will be lost, and jobs will be lost, and investments will shrink. And schools and what you can teach in schools is and will be challenged. I don't know what I'm going to be asked to lose. But whatever it is, I want to say Tetelestai. In other words, it's completed in Jesus, but we still got to go through the process. I said to and I'm on to my seat, I said to the president of our school, while we are entitled to the benefit of our taxes being generated back to us, maybe it's time for us to get off government milk. I was saying this as to why so many people are folding. I wasn't making any specific reference to our school because I didn't ask them, are we taking government money? It wasn't worth all that. I was just, and what I said was this: you don't know what you believe in until you have to pay for it. You don't know what you believe in until you have to pay for it. If we believe in Rainbow Push, let's pay for it. If we believe in the museum, let's pay for it. If we believe in liberation, let's pay for it. And I realize, of course, that's a great middle-class solution. Just pay for it. But whatever you can bring. So I wanted to sit down, y'all. I really did. I wanted to, Wole Soyinka says, elders don't fight battles. But I'm in the resistance. Until I no longer have life and breath, my cruciform life won't let me sit out this fight. It's going to cost y'all. But to tell a star. In Jesus' name, amen.